And if you've been watching the AI space, you've seen it. The entire ecosystem has fundamentally pivoted.
It really has. We're moving away from that sort of raw chatbot era.
And into two massive intersecting themes. First, infrastructure sovereignty, basically. Who controls the compute?
And second, this push toward highly specialized, autonomous, what we call agentic intelligence.
Exactly. The geopolitical battle over chips and regulation is heating up, and you can see it in today's news.
That's our mission today, to give you a high-speed, focused briefing on only the most significant AI updates published today. We're distilling everything, research, products, policy, into maximum insight so you know exactly where things are headed.
Okay, let's start with foundational research. We need to quantify the actual impact of AI, right? Get some proof.
And we got it. Anthropic just released a major study analyzing over 100,000 real user conversations with their Claude model.
The headline is staggering. It says AI is delivering massive, measurable productivity gains right now.
This is the empirical evidence we've been waiting for knowledge work tasks, summaries, drafting emails, that sort of thing. They found tasks were completed approximately 80% faster.
80%. That's almost 5 times the speed.
It's an incredible lift. But what's really key for the wider economy is the extrapolation.
What does that look like on a macro level?
The study suggests current AI models could boost annual U.S. labor productivity growth by roughly 1.8%.
Which would effectively double the recent rates of growth.
Exactly. This is data showing AI is becoming a true macroeconomic engine.
Speaking of engines, DeepMind's AlphaFold is just continuing to deliver these incredible scientific returns.
Their new impact report is all about successes in structural biology. They solved the structure of ApoB100.
And for anyone who doesn't know, that's a protein directly linked to atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease.
The leading cause of death globally, yeah. And they also cracked PS4-845, a key target for a malaria vaccine.
So it's accelerating discovery in the atoms race, not just the bits race.
That's the perfect way to put it. It's cutting years, literally years, off traditional research timelines.
Okay, but shifting from breakthroughs to, let's say, boundaries, the second International AI Safety Report came out today.
And it confirms progress, but also some really persistent vulnerabilities.
It raises the question, how robust are these safeguards really?
Well, the report was very specific. It found that sophisticated hackers can still break AI safeguards in about 50% of cases.
50%. With how many attempts?
Just 10.
Wow. Half the time in just 10 tries. That's an alarming metric.
It is. It really underscores this urgent need for defense hardening. A 50% failure rate is not a safe foundation for true agentic deployment.
And rounding out the research, some great news out of Kyrgyzstan. The launch of Kyrgyzbert.
This is the first publicly available monolingual model for the Kyrgyz language.
Which is spoken by about 4 million people.
Right. And for anyone who needs a refresher, a BERT model is a type of architecture that understands context really well, making it great for language processing. This new model has just under 36 million parameters.
And it achieved a strong F1 score of 0.8280. What does that number actually tell us?
It's a measure of accuracy, and 0.8280 is excellent. It means the model is getting the right answer without a lot of false positives.
And the impressive part is that it competes with models that are 5 times larger.
Exactly. It proves you don't need massive compute to bring great NLP to underserved languages.
Okay, so we have the economic data. Now let's see how companies are translating that power into autonomous products. The agentic shift is here.
It is in full swing, starting with Anthropic's new drop, Claude Opus 4.5.
This one is built for complex coding and sustained reasoning.
And it set a pretty wild new benchmark. It was the first model to meaningfully outperform all human candidates on Anthropic's internal 2-hour engineering assessment.
So an AI is now officially better at passing their own engineering tests than the humans applying for the job.
Yes. That signals a really profound advance in automation.
But maybe the most interesting agentic news today came from Microsoft Research. They introduced something called Farah 7B.
A 7 billion parameter computer use agent. But the key isn't just its power, it's that it's designed to run entirely on local devices.
Wait, a 7 billion parameter model running locally is beating a cloud-based frontier model on a key benchmark.
It is. On the Web Voyager benchmark, which is a complex test on real websites, Farah 7B got a 73.5% success rate.
And that's better than GPT-4o.
Better than its 65.1%, and the cost difference is huge.
Because it's local, so what are we talking?
About 2.5 cents per task for Farah versus 30 cents for a cloud model?
That complicates the entire cloud subscription business model for agents.
Completely. It signals a future of private, on-device AI handling complex web tasks for almost nothing.
Meanwhile, OpenAI is pushing further into e-commerce. They debuted shopping research in ChatGPT.
This is a direct shot across Google's bow. It's powered by a fine-tuned GPT-5 mini variant.
And it creates personalized buyer's guides, synthesizes information.
It's turning ChatGPT from a general assistant into a specialized e-commerce purchase tool.
So how is Google responding?
They're giving developers more control. The Gemini 3 API was updated with a new thinking level parameter.
Which lets you do what exactly?
It lets developers adjust the reasoning depth. You can optimize for deep thoroughness, or you can optimize for high speed.
So it's about giving users fine-grained control over the model's behavior based on their budget and their timeline.
Precisely. And we're also seeing that geopolitical push for self-reliance in Russia, with Yandex launching its Alice AI model for enterprise clients.
This gives Russian and Eastern European enterprises a domestically developed alternative.
It's a clear move for data sovereignty, keeping critical enterprise data within national borders under their own regulatory control.
Okay, let's talk about the money and metal needed to power all this, the infrastructure.
And the headline today is a truly staggering number from Amazon Web Services.
They announced plans to invest up to $50 billion.
$50 billion, specifically for expanding AI and supercomputing for U.S. government agencies.
This is for their secure, top secret and GovCloud regions.
Right, and the investment aims to add nearly 1.3 gigawatts of dedicated AI and supercomputing capacity. This isn't just server space, it's highly regulated, isolated infrastructure.
It really solidifies AWS as the dominant provider for secure sovereign cloud workloads.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, in the commercial market, there are reports that Meta is negotiating with Alphabet
to rent Google's TPUs next year and then maybe buy them outright by 2027.
And that news alone caused Nvidia stock to fall by as much as 6.7%.
Why such a sharp reaction?
It validates Google's custom tensor processing units, their TPUs, as a viable alternative to Nvidia. It shows the big players are hedging their bets.
And that puts direct pressure on Nvidia's pricing power.
Exactly. On the other side of the Pacific, Taiwan is also making a massive investment, over $3.2 billion for a national AI infrastructure plan.
The AI Island Plan.
Yes, and the goal is to achieve top 5 global status in computing power. They're leveraging their semiconductor dominance to build next-gen compute clusters.
Shifting to consumers, though, Nvidia is trying to democratize access to some of this power.
They collaborated with Black Forest Labs to optimize the huge FLUX.2 image generation model for consumer GPUs.
Yeah, they do that.
They use something called FP8 quantization. It's essentially a massive data compression technique that shrinks the model size.
And that cut the VRAM requirement of the 32 billion parameter system by 40%.
Making frontier-quality visual AI actually accessible on a high-end desktop.
Finally, in China, we're seeing more progress on semiconductor self-reliance.
Huawei officially launched its new flagship Mate 80 smartphone.
And is powered entirely by its new domestically produced Kirin 9030 AI chipset.
It just demonstrates their continued ability to develop and ship flagship devices with fully domestic chips, despite all the export restrictions.
Which brings us to policy. In the U.S., President Trump signed an executive order establishing the Genesis mission.
This is being framed as the largest marshaling of federal scientific resources since the Apollo program.
It unifies data and supercomputing from 17 national laboratories into one integrated AI platform.
And the goal is clear. Accelerate breakthroughs in priority areas like fusion energy, biotech, and semiconductors.
But that federal push for uniformity is hitting some friction at the state level.
A big snag. Bipartisan attorneys general from 35 states and D.C. sent a letter urging Congress not to preempt state-level AI regulations.
So we have a growing constitutional clash here.
We do. The federal government wants industry-friendly, uniform standards, but states want to maintain citizen protections against fraud and bias. That fight is escalating.
And across the Atlantic, the EU seems to be moving in the other direction, a major policy rollback.
Reports confirm the EU is delaying key parts of the AI Act and planning changes to GDPR.
Why the change of heart?
It's a direct response to the perception that Europe is lagging behind the US and China in AI innovation. They want to make it easier for firms to use personal data for AI training.
In the music industry, we saw a landmark shift. Warner Music Group dropped its lawsuit against the AI music startup Suno.
And not only dropped it, they announced a partnership.
That's historic.
It really is. It legitimizes AI-generated music, but with artist consent and compensation. It's a whole new revenue stream, moving the industry from conflict to collaboration.
And in Asia, AI Singapore made a strategic pivot.
They switched their national sea lion language model foundation from Meta's models to Alibaba Cloud's Quinn architecture.
And the new version was trained with an extra 100 billion Southeast Asian language tokens.
It strengthens Singapore's sovereign AI capabilities and boosts regional language performance, a very strategic choice.
Finally, we saw strict enforcement in China. The Cyberspace Administration penalized apps for failing to label AI-generated content.
It's a measure that mandates transparency. They're aiming to curb misuse and misinformation by making it absolutely clear when something was made by an algorithm.
All right, let's touch on funding and security. We saw a huge round for a startup called Harmonic AI.
Co-founded by the CEO of Robinhood, Vlad Tenev. They closed a $120 million Series C
For what specifically?
to develop hallucination-free formal reasoning models,
And that funding gives them a $1.45 billion valuation.
which just underscores the investor appetite for reliability. Solving hallucinations is the key to unlocking high-stakes domains like finance and aerospace.
We're also seeing targeted investment in India. Google and the venture firm Excel launched a new cohort for early-stage Indian AI startups.
They'll co-invest up to $2 million per startup, plus over $300,000 in cloud credits. It's direct backing for India's growing AI ecosystem.
Now for the darker side. Google's threat intelligence group reported that state-sponsored hackers are actively using generative AI.
This confirms AI is an immediate force multiplier for cyber threats. Attackers are using it to generate much more sophisticated phishing wars,
And creating malware that can dynamically rewrite its own code to evade detection.
which means we need entirely new defensive strategies.
And quickly, we also saw Siemens showcase its generative AI engineering copilot, TIA.
Yes, they're expanding its pilot program for industrial use in Germany. This is a big step toward autonomous manufacturing in Europe.
So today's news really covered an incredible range, from that $50 billion AWS commitment.
All the way to Anthropic quantifying an 80% productivity boost in knowledge work.
The major themes are just undeniable. Massive capital is flowing into secure, sovereign infrastructure.
While at the same time, we're seeing the rapid deployment of these autonomous, efficient agents like Farah 7B and Opus 4.5
Before we go, let's look at tools and data you can actually use today.
for hands-on testing of that agentic shift. The Microsoft Farah 7B agent, that 7 billion parameter local model, is available on Hugging Face.
So you can experiment with private, on-device agentic AI without paying cloud fees.
And for creative professionals, the Black Forest Labs FLUX.2 image model, the optimized version, is now accessible via Comfy UI.
So you can run that huge 32 billion parameter model on a desktop.
Our numbers of the day really reflect the scale of all this. First, $50 billion.
The capital commitment from AWS for dedicated sovereign supercomputing.
And second, 1.8%.
The estimated annual increase in U.S. labor productivity growth that's possible from today's AI models. A gain that could double recent economic growth.
So we have this push for unbounded, globally accessible agentic AI, like Farah 7B and Opus 4.5.
And it stands in direct contradiction to the state-driven hardening of national compute infrastructure, like that $50 billion AWS investment and the Genesis mission.
And that leads to the provocative thought for you to consider this week. How long can consumer-facing AI remain open and global when the very infrastructure that powers critical national applications, from fusion research to secure government ops, becomes so securely nationalized and regulated?
That friction point is exactly where the next era of innovation and global policy is going to be defined.